the words, it is called by hearting, like the parrot. Parrot says cat, cat, but has no idea what a cat is. It says like this, if the cat itself comes and eats the parrot will never know it is a cat which ate it. But that is not what I mean by learning by heart. My learning by heart is something like this. The doctor tells the patient, we really know, it is written on every cigarette pack that smoking is injurious to health. But everyone smokes. Everyone smokes means whoever is a smoker smokes even when he reads that warning which is given there. But he becomes a patient, goes to the doctor, and when the doctor says, you have cancer, that day he learns it by heart and stops smoking. So when you really learn it by heart, it becomes part of yourself. You tell the child, don't touch the fire. The child will not worry. The child will go and touch the fire. But having touched the fire once, he has learned it by heart. He will not go again and touch fire. So this level of learning, is called learning by heart. That means you have really understood the implications, and then you will not do what is to be done. And last is the psychomotor part, which is the skill, which is the physical aspects of carrying out your action. Like the skills you develop, even your handwriting and whatever. And you should also appreciate this. Skill development is not just for that particular aspect of the body which you train. The skill goes into your whole personality. And the example I give is of your handwriting. If you have developed a very good handwriting, you normally use only 3 fingers to write. Normally, when you practice writing, you train your 3 fingers. But later when you want to write on the blackboard, you use your whole hand. But still you will get the same good handwriting. The same handwriting, same nature of letters. So you may tell me, after all it is a hand, you have trained. But if you go to the beach, and on the sand also you write with your leg, you still get the same handwriting. So the skill you develop even by training part of your body goes as a whole personality into yourself. So, any skill developed is a transformation which is taking place within you. So give all importance to this skill development and don't take a skill as not important. Any skill improves your whole personality. In fact, when you go to a workshop, a garage, even, small mechanics who are there, the way they handle a tool, you will know how trained or skilled he is. So each small skill becomes so important. And let us also now understand, the tangible objectives which we do in our own classrooms and how that each aspect in the classroom becomes very important. First aspect is acquiring information. Implies we acquire knowledge, we retain it, and then we should be able to recall it. When we can do the last two, we say we have acquired information. So information goes into us, gets recorded, and then we have also the facility to recall it. If we forget, of course we have not. It is as good as having not acquired the knowledge. So this is only at the superficial level. We have just the knowledge. Then the second level is understanding it. This understanding is what helps us correlate it with experience. So we have an experience, then we can say, yes, this we have already learned. Or, yeah, this I know how to do. When you come to that level, we know we have understood what we have learned. And then are the times when we have to apply that knowledge. We have learned about how to design a building. We have learned how to place a drawing in a drawing sheet. When you go to a plot to construct a new house, we know how to draw the plan on the ground itself. And then we have developed the ability to apply our own engineering drawing in a real practical situation. And skill is practicing these habit formation by which we can do these things easily and perfectly. And then, of course, we should also understand the sources from where we can gain knowledge. First is books. Books is the most common source of knowledge for us today. And the process we use is to read the book. I should tell you this typical way people read. Normally we just read and forget, But that's not how we should read. I have once read the biography of our Nobel laureate, Subramaniam Chandrasekhar. And he once wrote a letter to his father, in which he says, I read that book on linear algebra and I took 3 months to finish reading it. Then he says, Dad, don't think I'm a fool to have taken 3 months. By the time I have finished reading the book, I have written my own book on linear algebra. This is the type of reading we should do. By the time we have finished reading it, I should have my own understanding, which means I can write a book on it myself. So that's the level of depth of understanding. And as you read itself, you get an idea of how somebody else thought. And then how do you write your own book? Now see how you will develop those same thoughts. So developing your own thoughts by the reading process is basically how well you can read. And you can appreciate this. First level is to go into the understanding of the person who wrote the book. And then develop your own understanding of the same thing. First part itself is difficult. Many times if you have a different bias, you may understand it differently. For instance, you can easily see a rationalist reading a religious book and a religious man reading a religious book. How they will understand it and interpret the source readings. So when you read something, your first level of reading should be purely to understand fully as the author has written it. And the second aspect then is the teacher. And from the teacher, you learn by listening. And listening also is an ability which is not given much importance. We normally train ourselves to speak. We train ourselves to do a lot of things. But we rarely train ourselves to listen. How many of you have ever tried to train yourself to listen? People who train themselves to listen, probably the good classical musicians, they first listen carefully. Each raga, the different modulations, they have to listen so carefully. But our classroom learning process, we don't think that we have to learn to listen. But learning to listen is extremely important. Learning to listen without the biases you already have to interfere with your learning process, your listening process, very important. Like once J. Krishnamurti, while giving a speech, he said, listen to me like you would listen to the cooing of a bird and the breeze on the trees. There do any knowledge come to interfere? You are just listening, is it not? So similarly, even a subject which is being taught should be listened to. First to understand it fully. Having understood what is spoken fully, then only you should try to bring your earlier knowledge to understand it more deeply. So first part is to understand it fully itself. And third is nature itself. Nature is the greatest source for knowledge. And if you can observe nature carefully, you will learn much more than probably classrooms. Because nature has so much variety. And nature has so much interactions taking place. And you can learn much more. And there, of course, you have to observe without disturbing the nature. If you disturb nature, you don't understand nature. Like they say, people who go for bird watching, they say sit so quietly. If you make noise, all the birds will fly away. If you want to see anything in nature, you make noise and go into a forest. Every animal and creature will hide. So you have to sit quietly for some time, very, very quietly without disturbing. Then only you will see things around. So a absolute silent observation is what is necessary to learn from nature. And then, of course, experience. Everyone gets a lot of experience. But then many people are not even aware of the experience. It is something like this. You throw a stone into a turbulent water. What happens? Nothing happens. The waves are as it is, and the stone falling into the water is not even observed. Now imagine a very calm surface of water. Like a swimming pool, if it is undisturbed, normally will have a very plain, clear surface which reflects the sky. Into that pond, you now put a stone. What happens? Beautiful ripples are made, and then it finally subsides into the water itself. So a calm mind will receive the awareness, receive the experience with full awareness. And that experience becomes part of you. And it becomes a knowledge for you. But if your mind is agitated, mind is worried and so on, your own personal experiences you lose, from which you could have gained tremendous amount of knowledge. And when your mind becomes calm, only intuitive thoughts also come. For intuitive thoughts to come, you should have developed a calmer mind. A very calm mind only normally gives you intuitive thoughts. Like I already said, calm mind is one which new thoughts keep coming. And new thoughts then go to the intuitive levels also. And that will be understood well if you can develop an analysis and awareness. For instance, Einstein, when he found out his theory of relativity, he had all the data. With the data, he was trying to gain new theories. And because he had all the understanding of the data and so on, when the right idea came, he knew this fits into place. But if you didn't have the data and you didn't want to get the idea, you will never get the idea. So for intuitive thoughts to become useful to you, when those thoughts come, you should know they are useful thoughts. At the very ordinary level, every policeman was given information that a car with this number is, escaping with terrorists in it. The policeman remembers the number vaguely. He sees the car going, but he is immediately not able to recollect that this number is the number of the car of the terrorist. But if his mind was very calm, immediately it was struck him that this is the car which I am looking for. So a calm mind is definitely necessary to really understand. Now this is old Sanskrit sloka. I have also tried to compare it with the 4 caste system we have in the Hindu religion, which is so grossly misunderstood these days. And this also brings out that learning is not carried out in a single step. A real learning takes long time to really get into you. So let us first understand each step of this sloka. The first sloka says, Acharyat Padam Adate, means 1/4 of the knowledge comes from the teacher. So only 1/4 comes from the teacher. And I have correlated that with Shudra caste. Shudra means a servant. And the job of a servant is to perfectly listen to the master. He is not allowed to question. That is a perfect Shravana state, perfect listening state. You don't question. What the teacher says, you perfectly understand and fully listen without allowing your previous knowledge or